Welcome to Pucked Up Hockey Moms, where the arenas are freezing, the group chats are unhinged, and the parenting, well, let's just say we're doing our best. I'm Amanda, hockey mom, chaos wrangler, and proud captain of the Bad Mom Squad.
And I'm Brittany, mom of three, two who play hockey, expert at juggling carpools, cold coffee, and the occasional emotional breakdown in the arena parking lot.
We're here to spill the tea on what it really means to raise hockey kids, from politics in the stands to mental health, bad calls, and everything in between. No filters, no fluff, just the truth. With a side of sarcasm.
And yeah, we're laughing through the madness, because if we didn't, we'd be crying into a damp mitt left in the trunk since last season.
So if you've ever screamed, "Move your feet," while secretly Googling the rules mid-game, you're our people.
This is Pucked Up Hockey Moms. Let's get into it.
I'm your host, Amanda, and today we have with us Karry, who is going to chat with us about sending her eldest away to university for hockey and all the ins and outs that go along with it. Welcome, Karry.
Thank you, Amanda, for having me here.
Now, before we jump right in, tell us a bit about yourself and your daughters and what family and sports looked like before university.
Well, I'm Karry Lisle, and I'm a business life coach. And what I do is I help others improve their life in health and in business. And I'm also the founder of Karry Cares, as well as Project U. And what I do is I help you improve your business life. And what Project U is about is it's offering free coaching to others who don't have the means to. And then in turn, we have others who donate to help provide these fees and funds for them. Also, we have projects that help charities out as well. So I'm always helping others, and Karry Cares is more of my prayer channel, as well as giving guidance and coaching, as well as health tips.
That's awesome.
So thank you. So then with my daughters, I have two beautiful daughters. They're 9 years apart. And so, yes, very busy. And one was in, obviously, hockey and went to Liberty University and received a hockey scholarship. And then my youngest was in cheerleading. So she traveled the world. So it was very successful. They have very successful careers and did well. And we just, my eldest now has her own, she is a counselor, a school counselor. So she's just received her first school counseling position. So that's amazing. And then for my youngest, we just launched her nail salon business in January, and she's a big success, Nails by Ali. So it's been amazing. And I am married to Steve Lisle, who is a hockey scouting coach, as well as he has his own businesses with insurance as well. And family has always been very busy for us, and a busy life, but we're very blessed in health and in family. I just wish that my eldest was closer now. We're in Canada and she's in the States.
Yeah, that sounds busy. Cheer and hockey are very different ends of the spectrum, but they're both super competitive and super busy.
That's true.
Did you ever see each other?
So, a funny story is with us, one of the dynamics was, and the challenges is being in the same city at the same time. Mm-hmm. There's many times where Steve was with Tiana in Detroit and I'm in Atlanta with Alyssa for a cheerleading competition. So mostly with hockey, and because of the level, the competitiveness that she was in, they were gone for about 5 hours each day. So when Tiana went away to university, Steve's like, I'm going to go to every, competition with you. I'm like, whoa. We need to take this back a step. I got to get to know you again. We got to take baby steps. We got to date. You can't just dive right in. It's a completely different thing. Don't get me wrong. He did come to the odd competition, but we were worlds apart many times.
Yeah, that's so crazy. What were some of your biggest fears or concerns when sending your daughter, preparing for sending her off for university?
Just that she was going to be miles away. And she, for this, because she went to Liberty and it was 12 hours away, that was the biggest thing. And she got sick, I wouldn't be able to be there or help her. And a perfect example of that is I was watching one of her games on TV and she went down. and they took her off the ice. And, you know, just some of those things where it's like, I didn't know until they were able to give us an update. She ended up being okay, but she definitely hurt herself. So she had some recovery, but, there, you know, that school was I was very blessed. They took an amazing care of her. So somebody always went to the hospital with her. But I think that was one of the big fears. And the fact is, you know, it was the States and they're different, you know, it's completely different than Canada. And I didn't know these different cities, right? So there was so much could have happened to her. And also when you see the size of some of these universities, and I knew that she wasn't driving at the time, she didn't have a vehicle, like how is she going to get around, right? This was completely different. You're sending off someone that, you know, had a parent, or she was driving before she left, but we didn't have a vehicle because we wanted to make sure that, you know, she was going to be safe, you know, until we felt she got to know the area, then we sent her with a car. And that brings on a whole other ball game when they're driving in the winter, 12 hours away from Christmas and storms and, you know, trying to just stay awake for that time. There's so many different elements.
There's so many things. Yeah. What steps did you guys take to prepare her emotionally and practically for her transition?
Well, being that I was in, you know, management my whole life, like 30 years, right? And so I've always taught her a lot of skills. So emotionally and, you know, in her life, she's had to make it through so many different challenges. So she's persevered through a lot of things to be able to, there's so many things that you need to prepare for, you know, and we were lucky that we were that kind of parent that had her help clean the house or do things around the house. So she was more prepared in that way. She didn't really want to cook, but she knew how to cook, right? But I don't think she understood the more of the element when she was there to cooking, because I did get some of the calls like they make this, but she did a lot. And that's the thing, is you also have to let them make mistakes, right? And learn from those. So that was it. But support, you know, there's always mental illness everywhere, right? So she has being able to overcome a lot of those things. I think, though, one thing that she wasn't prepared for, like, you know, there's so many people that have anxiety and depression, but I was worried maybe more for her, but then I didn't realize that she was going to be that support person for someone else who had depression. And so that was a big turning point. But in the same time, we've prepared her through community and support so that she was capable of dealing with things. But she's a very strong person, and I've taught my girls and brought them up to be leaders, even though that wasn't the case when they were young. So, but a lot of it, I have to give her the recognition for. She is a very strong woman, and I am so proud of her. And I want to take credit for it, but, you know, it comes from within as well, right? And she's, you know, her knowledge and what she's learned in life and in her education is beyond me. So
well, they learn a lot from us, from around us, and they learn a lot from sports too, right? Like, and being in a team atmosphere teaches them so many things that we just can't teach them unless they're doing it hands-on. So I think that probably prepared her a lot too.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. What do you wish you had done differently during the application or decision making or a financial planning process?
Honestly, I feel really confident about that because I didn't do a whole lot. No, I just think
well, I'm good because I didn't do any of it.
That's not true. I contributed financially in some areas, but you know, this is where me and my husband, we have different roles. I do the cooking, he does the cleaning, right? So when it comes to more some of those financial areas or submitting applications, or like I would help her do some homework, but then he would do the math, right? So this was their time, and I didn't want to intervene in that at all. And honestly, I preferred that he did it, but it's just natural. And that's where she gets that, you know, those positives from him, where she's very structured, right? And I'm very structured too, because I'm in project management, but in the same time, she, her study habits, everything. She's just on point with it. So
That's perfect.
I feel that the only advice on that area is ensure you have a full understanding of cost, the financial aspects with it. Like, we were very lucky, and I do want to add this, is that we did put the RESP in place, but we also had help there because my eldest, her biological mother, had passed. So she had a death benefit as well. Right.
Okay.
So we did have help, but we did contribute as well. Also, a plus, and depending on the universities, like there was some scholarship money. And not only that, is because she is so dedicated, and this is where she puts the pressure on herself. She has to be the best of the best and had to have that 4.0 GPA. So then with that gives scholarship funding or tuition funding for the next year. So she always made sure, and the more, if you get that 4.0 GPA, it's more of the amount you get. So that's a key thing. And she wanted to be able to contribute more to that, to be able to have that money.
Yeah. No, that's great. Good for her. Those are some great habits. How did you support the decision, whether it was her school choice, sport team, or academic program?
Honestly, this is an area that I kind of stepped back again with this. I wasn't in full support of her going away to the States. I didn't want her to go. So I kind of buttoned, and also her choice of what she was going to be. She wanted to be a teacher. And I think she is fantastic and I love her. But this was not something I had thought perhaps would have shown her talents as much, right? However, being the supportive mother, I didn't let on to that. And in the fact is, she recognized that as well and changed her major. So that's where now she is a school counselor. But it's funny because she didn't even want to share that she was going to change because she was nervous that I would be upset with her. So she told him first, which I was like, how come she told him first? I was just so surprised, right? Because she comes to me. But then he said she was nervous or something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, no, this is 100%. I'm 100% in line with this.
Yeah.
I totally, and she does. And you know what? I was smart enough to listen to her when I was, with my youngest, because I needed some help. I needed some guidance through that 13-year stage. And this is totally her calling. And I'm so glad. And I'm so glad that she's taking this now and being able to move in her future with it.
That's awesome. Good for her. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to watch them do stuff that you think might not be for them, but it is good that you let them make those mistakes, right? Because otherwise, one, they lash out at you, they resent you, or they think you're just trying to control them too, right? So it's hard to watch, but it is good for them. So
definitely.
And we touched on mental health a little bit, but did you guys talk about mental health and time management or social pressures before she left?
I think, honestly, we would talk about so many things. And I really tried to, as much as I could, prepare her. But these were everyday dealings that she's dealt with, right? She's put these pressures on herself in time management. And the best thing I could have ever done was, if you did your work, if you did your homework, you could do it with a friend. And she had the best study habits, and she chose a lot of the times to do it on her own. But she created all these different study habits. So in that area, I feel confident. Like, she never wanted to disappoint anyone. I think that's with my girls. They just don't want to disappoint us, and they always want to strive to do better. And me and my husband are that way. Have amazing work ethic, and we work too much, right?
Yeah.
And I do find the same thing, even with her. Like, I didn't want her to get a job because then I had to wake up and drive her somewhere.
Yeah.
But she wanted to work at a golf course, and she was getting up at like 4 or 5 a.m. and going to this. Well, I wasn't driving. Again, his role, right? Yeah. There was no way. But again, like, it's her dedication and just, it's kind of within her.
Yeah, it's something they want and practice. I know I've seen a couple posts or whatnot, and they're from like hockey players that are in college and stuff telling other young players, you know, if you want to be a D1 player, you have to have these habits now, because if your parents are making you wake up or telling you when to go to bed or telling you when to do your homework, then you're never going to be a D1 player, because you should know how to do it yourself. And I like that, because it's true. They need to prepare themselves for that. And I thought about telling my daughter the waking up part, but I'm like, no, wait, she wakes my husband up before practice so he doesn't sleep in. She's so paranoid about being late too that she wakes her, like, she's up on time all the time because we are up and fast and ready and busy. And I'm like, well, if you want to do extra, you have to be awake before me, because I'm in and out of the house in 20 minutes. Like, I'm awake and out of the house. So she's up an hour before me and ready to go. So those are just really good habits to know and learn and build.
It really is. And also adding on to that, and I think as you have other children's.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, you know, we also ensured that she was following those habits. And I think it's the different circumstances, right?
Yeah.
But as we had the other child, and because through COVID, it looked differently. But the results were different as well. So one lesson I want to share is make sure you continue, and she will tell me the same thing. How come you made me do these things and not necessarily with Alyssa, right? So it's lessons learned, and but you see the outcomes. She followed. She's so dedicated, and don't get me wrong, my other daughter has drive as well, but it is different. And COVID was a different time, and mental illness is a whole different story. And I'm not saying that my eldest didn't have challenges, because she lost her mother. Like, that's a huge thing to overcome, right? And that's with you all the time. And I was there for everything for her. I didn't want her to feel that, but in the same thing as losing your mom, that's a huge trauma. And so to see where she is now, I think that's why I'm just so proud of her, and I'm so grateful that she is the person she is today.
Yeah, good for her for persevering and going through that, because it's a lot. Losing a parent is hard. So how did her participation in hockey impact her overall university experience from your perspective? Like, how did the hockey aspect with the school course load?
I want to say, I think it really depends on the school, right? So, and if she had have gone to a different school and necessarily didn't have a hockey, like this scholarship either, it would have been different. I do believe in that. But because what they offered her, like, I mean, she had the best of the best food that they had their own coaching, right? It was all on health and nutrition. They had their own, they had their own rooms. So the one good thing about having her study with others at a young age, they did that, and they were very successful doing that and supporting each other as well. And she had that support unit. They would provide them trips, but they would also get to go wherever they traveled or flew for these hockey tournaments. They got to be able to go to games and go behind stages, or go to other musicals and whatever. They would take them and do things with them. And
like
it was more like a family, and it was a unit. And also there was another element I wanted to say is they also had tutoring for them.
Oh, okay.
So there was another office in the arena. And if there was anything, they had free tutoring. So there was always support no matter what. And, it might have been different if she had to work, but I really didn't want her to work, because when you look at having a athletic scholarship or being in athletics while you're going away at university and you're away from family, that is kind of like another job.
That is work. That is so much work. Yeah,
exactly.
That's your job while you're there. You got that scholarship because it was work, right? Like, yeah, I agree with you. You don't want them to risk their scholarship by getting a job. So,
and also keep in mind, they have to keep a certain status, right? With their grades
GPA and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So it's so important that they have time. And I didn't want her to get stressed, because I knew that she is that person that is stressed because she put so much on herself. She wanted to do so well, right? This is her future.
they don't need one more thing added to their plate, right? Like, because there's only so much time in a day, and your body still needs to recover, and then your brain needs to recover from all your learning. So it is a lot. And I think having the team aspect probably helped her carry the mental load maybe more than the average student, because there are more people going through it with you in that team bonding aspect. But I could just see that being an easier path for some people to have that team. Whereas like the average student going alone to a new university and not knowing anyone doesn't quite have that same support system.
No. And you're right. We were fortunate for a couple things that we did do. It was really hard leaving her, dropping her off, but we stayed, we dropped her off, and then we took 3 days and at a resort an hour away. So then we came back for her first practice. So that was really helpful, and she got to meet people. But even before she went away to university, she flew out there and practiced with them. And I think she was only 16, and oh my goodness, talk about overcoming challenges. That poor girl had to sleep in the airport overnight because of the canceled flights, right? Man. And it wasn't a good airport. And Steve had to be on the phone with her all night to make sure she was okay. And
that's
her running with her hockey bag to her flights, the poor thing. But her going there, she kind of got to know a few people as well. So then that really helps. And we talked to parents, and that's what I ended up doing with Steve, talking to parents and helping them through some of these challenges, and, you know, just giving them guidance and on what are some of the things that you could do to make it better for their children, or to help the mothers not be so worried about our children away at university. Right?
I know my son billeted for his grade 11 year, and I mean, it's not university, but it's still a full school year away from us in a different country. So I understand a lot. And it was stressful, but you can only get 2 words out of boys at a time. So I didn't want to call him all the time. I'm like, well, how about you call me? Because I'd call him and he'd be playing video games with his friends. And I'm like, well, I can't have a conversation with you while you're playing video games. And God forbid you stop playing video games to have a conversation with me. So you can call me. But it's stressful and it's hard. But I found that it was easier because he was happy. And I think that if he was not happy, I would have been miserable too, right? Yeah. So, because our children's happiness, definitely, we unfortunately hinge ours on theirs a little bit too much.
And that is key, right? Building relationships. So that's one of the biggest things that I pride myself on, is building relationships. And it's funny because when I first met Tiana, when she was like 6 years old, she was a mouse and she didn't speak, and she wouldn't speak to people. And me trying to get her to, you know, just find a friend, or we had a friend in the neighborhood. It took her a long time before she could be friends with her, because she was just nervous. And so for me, I have such a community support group of women, right? And now it's like, and as she was getting into hockey and everything else, she was more of the captain and the leader, and she would bring people in, and, you know, it's just funny. And now you talk to her and she talks to me now and she's like, Mom, I was here and everybody was included and this and that. And it's just like, you know, she's a social butterfly. And it's just like, that's where I feel that I kind of help contribute in that way, is building those relationships. And they're so key, because then when she did that, she had somebody to take her to go do groceries. She had a friend that she did something with, and I knew she was safe, right? But also then there was some families that would take their children to go and watch the games. Well, immediately she would include those children, or give them a stick or whatever it may be. Well, that family took her in and all the girls on the team, and they would celebrate their birthdays at their house with them. And so then those girls babysat for them, and then I could reach out and I could say, oh, can you, I would send money, and they would get Tiana the odd gift or whatever it may be. So it was just to know that they can reach out, find a community to help keep them safe and be another family. And that's what she said. She felt like she had family there because that was really hard for her. And it was really hard for me. And I'm so blessed that we had the technology to be able to FaceTime.
Yes. Yeah. And they do, like, they create a little family around them, and team sports do have that benefit where you can, like, they just kind of, you suck everybody into your family. You create the family you want around you. Right. And so I'm sure that was super helpful for her. And you said they had great coaching and nutrition around them too. So that I'm sure was super helpful for her.
Definitely, because thank goodness for them having their fruit bars, their power bars, always fruit in there, because the university is so large. And for her, like, even though we had the payment card that she could go and get, she said half the time she would never be able to make it there in time before it closed.
Yeah.
Right. And she didn't have a vehicle or whatever, couldn't go out and grab stuff. And as you're sharing a university dorm, that there's only a certain amount of food that you can have in the fridge or whatever, because everybody shares everything. So that's where we got creative in some of our bins and storing things under the beds and, certain things that I would go there and go grocery shopping. We really were what we could get her, and to be protein, right? Good whole foods for her as well. So teaching her that, but that's a key thing for parents, is like taking that time, going to that grocery store and letting them know. And it was awesome when we go and, of course mom's buying. So we got all the, the salmon and the steaks and everything else, but portion sizing it, putting them in Ziplocs so you can stack them, and then making those spaghetti sauces up so that they can quickly make quick, easy meals, because they don't want to make a big, healthy meal all the time, right?
No, they
don't.
So
that was a key thing that I think that I feel proud about, and that she was so proud when she was calling me and saying, Mom, I made that salmon and it tasted so amazing.
That's so
right?
cute.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're talking about portion and proteins and stuff, because literally today while I was working, my 13-year-old and my 16-year-old were getting out a notebook because their new trainer is teaching them about how much protein they need, and that they should write it in a book versus an app. And we have a scale. So my son was teaching my daughter how to count and track her protein. Then they were measuring it out. And oh my goodness, she's like, I can't eat this much yogurt. He's like, just do it. They've got all their protein going and stuff, but they do both cook as well, which is great. Like, my daughter does love baking more than cooking, but she is great at cooking. So they're like creatively looking for all these recipes to get the most amount of protein and least amount of like waste in there. So I think it's great, because I'm like, when you go away, you're going to have all these knowledgeable things of efficient protein, because trying to get a 13-year-old to eat enough calories to help her build muscle is hard. And trying to make a 16-year-old boy eat clean and still pack in protein is also hard. So
100%.
It is hard to do. I'll have to do another episode on food and feeding children on the go.
Yeah, I got lots of tips for that, because I'm a big cook, and I can help provide quick and fast tips, and just get them in the air fryer.
Air fryer, slow cookers, all that stuff is so great. So what was this like on your youngest when her older sister left? How'd that affect the dynamics in the house and stuff?
So there's 9 years difference between my girls, and this one's tough, because it really affected her, and in future, because I feel that she felt like she was left behind. And because they get so busy, and it's not always easy, especially when there's an age difference. It's that they're not as mature to be able to have that conversation with. So we really found that as we started having our trips again, that conversations, real heart to heart hurt came out. But they've rebuilt that, right? And it's such a, especially when there's such a distance in age, right? I think and distance, right? As much as like, it was kind of neat being able to go and spend March break me
Yeah.
and Alyssa would go and spend time with Tiana at her apartment. That was kind of neat.
Aw.
But yeah, but again, the difference in ages. But if they were maybe more similar in ages, the conversation would have been a little bit easier. So yeah, that was very difficult for them. But now they talk every day. So when Tiana's coming home from work, she always calls her little sister, and
Oh, that's cute.
yeah, it's amazing. And she's her biggest fan. So, because she has Nails by Ali, her little, her nail channel and
Yeah.
whatever. Her sister is her biggest fan, me too, but she doesn't like when I comment.
Yep. Nope. Fair. Mom.
Oh,
Yeah.
mom, yeah. But it's okay
Yeah.
if Tiana does. And then she's like, Tiana left me the best comment today, right? And
Aw.
so it is. It comes around, it's just time, all in time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is hard, and us as parents need to help nurture that and encourage that relationship as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know. Listening to my two, I always tell them all the time, I'm like, when we're gone, you only have each other, so you have to love each other. You have to be good to each other. What do you wish you had known about the pressures student athletes face before she left that you know now, maybe?
I just think that, again, because it's like another job, that just there wasn't enough time maybe that she would want to have to be able to do the studying, because she was always studying on the bus. She was always studying on the plane. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that can give you headaches or whatnot, right? So I just feel, and she's not one to complain about those things. She took a lot on herself.
Yeah.
So, I just supporting them, right? Being able
Yeah.
to support them more in some ways and be able to, like, just the talking or communicating, for myself, I wish I had have been able to ask her more. Like, I had certain things that I would say to her,
Yeah.
to try to get her to talk, like, how are you doing? And we were always, no matter what was great, she always called me if she was sick. Oh, my girl, like they all do. And I've always done that with my mom. For some reason, we've just been able to
Want your mom when
manage that
you're sick.
very
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You always call your mom when you're sick. And, but I think I don't know, because she didn't really complain in that area or talk about it much, other than just the stress of the schoolwork. Because,
Mm-hmm.
they're heavy courses, right?
Yeah.
Course load.
Yeah. Did she
So
find it was a big difference from going from like public school to university courses? Like, was it a huge gap?
I don't think, like, of course it is, but
Yeah.
because she had the study habits, and she put so much pressure on herself that way,
Yeah.
like, she just worked hard to be successful at it.
That's good. Because I do know my son noticed like the curriculum difference from moving to Canadian to US. Theirs was more intense. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, whereas they were like, oh, you're going to be way ahead. And so they put him in more extreme courses. And he's like, he kept up. And some of it was a little intense. He's like, I don't think our equivalent is as where as you thought it was. So yeah, it was a bit of a gap on the difference in courses. So I was just curious if it was a big gap for her.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking back, the poor girl. Goodness.
Yeah.
She was in French immersion, she was in English, and then she was in French immersion again.
Oh,
And then in high school I put her back in English because I wanted
yeah.
her to be successful.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm sure she, for her, it just was normal, any challenge that she
Yeah.
was to
I got
face,
this.
right? Yeah, I got this.
What do you mean challenge? That's just every day, isn't it?
Poor
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you just taught her to think on her toes. That's fine. And clearly it's working for her. So good job.
Yes, yes.
What are things most students won't say, do you think, but wish their parents knew?
I think to put more effort in.
Yeah.
As much as it was difficult because she's so structured with her schooling. And when I would call, she's like, Mom, I got a test tomorrow. I got to study. I'll talk to you later. Right. And
Yeah.
then, or I would call back and then it just wasn't a good time, or they were traveling and there was people around. So I just never knew when to call. And
Yeah.
so then I felt sometimes I would text, but I wasn't always able to talk to her all the time. But then sometimes she would say, well, Dina's mom calls her every day. And so then I would feel like, oh my gosh, does she want me to talk to her every day? But I know she wouldn't want me to talk to her every
Yeah.
day.
Like, but
I
you're
mean,
never free when I try to call you. So how do I call you every day?
no, but it's
Yeah.
just, some of those things, or
Yeah.
I got the message, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is just, I think putting in that effort, or, maybe sending more packages. I hate mailing things. So when I went, that's when I would buy like
Yeah.
everything. But I was lucky that I got to put a couple things through the family, for her. Or I just wish it was easier when they're in dorms. It's so hard to send them anything. Like if
Okay.
it was today and she had a better place, because you couldn't really send anything like Amazon. Like I send it stuff every single day, and I would have
Yeah.
done that more, right? So that's
Yeah.
the thing you can do is, and you can get food through Amazon and stuff.
I
It just would
know.
have been so easy. I would
Yeah.
have done that nonstop, right?
Right? Yeah. I know I've done that, like even Lululemon, I had like his Christmas present sent to his billet mom. And I was like, okay, these are wrapped, or some of them didn't come wrapped. I'm like, can you wrap these and hide them? Like just like his birthday present or whatnot, right? So yeah, I'd send stuff through like American Amazon, so it would go to him there. Because yeah, it is hard to ship stuff, and then you're like, does it get lost? I'm like, I'd rather it just come straight from the supplier than to get lost with me buying it, then sending it, then losing it. So
Yeah.
you know,
And
I,
the other thing too to do is what I did is when I go,
mm-hmm.
so if I knew I wasn't going to be there for months,
Yeah,
for a birthday or whatever, I would then give it to the roommate.
yeah,
And so that she could bring it out on the
yeah,
morning or whatnot. So some of those little things, but definitely just communicate with them and ask them. I wish I had have asked her more. What do you need from me?
yeah,
But I know
yeah,
she's such a strong person as well as, and a lot of the times I'd get, that I'm good, mom, right?
yeah,
I got this. She had
yeah,
to teach everybody how to do the laundry
yeah.
and how to buy things and clean, because none of the kids knew how to do that.
Well, you pretty much gave her that she could give to others. So without knowing it, you supported her in some pretty good ways, right? That she probably didn't think back on until later. She's like, wait, they taught me all that, and then I became this leader that I didn't even know I was, because nobody else knew how to do it.
Yeah.
So
And I
yeah,
think that was her side gig, was that
yeah,
if they weren't doing it, then they paid her to do it.
perfect,
I
perfect.
think I
That's
heard that
awesome.
come through.
Yeah, that's great. If you could give one message to another parent starting this journey, what would it be?
Yeah, just do the research on what's really needed. Like I know moving in there, she took most of everything, and it's a lot to be able to package it up and move it. Like you transfer things, you offer to others, so you don't have to bring it back or whatnot. But definitely do the research of what they need. Their mental health is so important now too, right? To be able to just ask those questions, and I would kind of do it because sometimes there's not things to talk about, right? Like they're
Mhm.
so focused on school and their career that, and you have so much going on with other things in your lives that they don't always want to talk to you. So the big thing is to talk about something that interests them. So
Yeah.
she'd always go on hikes and that, oh, how was your hike? And I love that stuff. I love hearing about it. So I would light up. Or
Yeah.
I would say, when you get to the mountain, or like, can you FaceTime me?
Yeah.
So on some of those trips, so then I would get a FaceTime, because she would be like, take a picture for me, or,
Yeah.
some of those things. So that's
Yeah.
when I would get a picture. But I also would ask, can you send me a picture, please?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
call
I
me the
want to
tourist.
remember what you look like. I know. My child grew 4 inches in the 8 months he was gone. So I was like, can you show me you, please? That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard.
But yeah,
um,
and send things, right? And
yeah.
just make sure they know how to like grocery shop, and that's a key thing.
Hmm.
And to have the right nutrition. And the key thing, that one thing that I'm seeing, and maybe this is something else, but what I've had to learn now is the proper way of eating, right?
Yeah.
And how to eat good healthy food and high protein foods on low budget, if
Yeah.
that's something too, as well as teach them
Yeah.
those things. For me, I know just losing my 32 pounds, it's what I eat. It's that fiber, it's that protein, the healthy fats, and then the carbs. Because we know everybody gets tired and they start eating processed food. So it's so key. And then they can't focus. Right? Because they don't have the right food. Now that I'm eating so healthy and whole foods in the right order, I can focus like no tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's amazing what protein and fat, like proper healthy fats, can do to your focus too. So yeah, really like preparing your kids now, no matter what age they are, like if you're hoping to move away, you need to learn this, like, because I'm not going to be there to hold your hand. So those are really important messages for both kids and parents who are hoping to send their kids away.
And I think that's why she was so successful, because she did. And because of her faith, as you treat your body like a temple, and she knew proper nutrition, and that was their mandate, was proper nutrition. Yeah. She could focus, and she did so well in school. Yeah. It's when you have sugar is the enemy. You got to get rid of the sugar, right?
Yeah. I know. And once you have a piece of sugar, I swear, you just crave it more. It's like, the bad drugs. Like you have it and then your body just wants it and that's all you focus on. But really it's like you're just going straight down a rabbit hole that's not actually helping you do the good things you need to do. So it's amazing what's like a handful of nuts can do to help you concentrate on your work. So no,
100%
advice. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. I appreciate you sharing your story and your tips and reflection on what it was like for your eldest. So I appreciate you coming.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I was loving being here and getting to know you more. So, and I love being able to offer people, some good tips when these children go away.
Yeah. No, I mean, sharing our knowledge is like the best thing we can do. And like, how do we share more info with other people? So I think it's a great avenue to do so. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you.
Awesome. We'll put your social media links in the show notes as well.
Okay, great.
How to contact you.
Thanks for joining us this week on Puffed Up Hockey Moms. We seriously appreciate you listening, laughing, and surviving the hockey mom life right alongside us.
Whether you're in the stands, stuck in carpool, or hiding in the rink bathroom for 5 minutes apiece, we see you and we're right there with you.
This episode was proudly brought to you by AAA Hockey Recruiting, your go-to for player development, showcases, and getting noticed at the next level.
Whether you're aiming for junior, prep, or NCAA, they've got the tools, the know-how, and the hookup. Check them out at AAAHockeyRecruiting.com and tell them the Bad Mom Squad sent you.
Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and stay a little bit puffed up.